Hey, Aim.
Hi, guys.
Amy Cella.
So good. All right. One thing that totally stood out to me was, okay, so the idea of having, if we have really good ingredients, like if we store up these things, then the master chef has a lot to work with. Right? And then the fact that hope is a byproduct of the work that we do and our response to suffering, the persevering work. Mm-hmm. And so, Curt, you mentioned, is on page 164. And it's about the whole thing, what we pay attention to, we remember, and what we remember becomes our anticipated future. Mm-hmm. And you talk about noting times where we feel seen, soothed, safe, and secure, the 4 S's. Mm-hmm. And so last week we talked about where I had to leave Pep at breakfast because I had forgotten an appointment.
Right.
And that could have been understandably annoying to Pep. And both could be true. He could be annoyed, but Pep, you were also very understanding and very...
Yeah. He told me later that he was, actually, but he didn't want to tell you that.
He texted you on the side and said, it was so annoying.
When he was out on his walk, he actually was.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Thank you. See, this is at work, people.
Yeah. Yes.
What are they called? But so in that moment, I felt super safe. I'm like, okay, I can screw up. Mm-hmm. I really screwed up. And Pep, I mean, he did leave because he went for a walk, but he did. So I felt, so then it's like, okay, we can focus on, you talk about remembering when we feel seen, soothed, safe, and secure. And it doesn't have to be these massive experiences where it's like.
Right, that's right.
I'm going to remember when I felt safe, when I screwed up and I was safe.
Yeah.
And then that becomes ingredients for when we're suffering. Is that right?
That's right. Right on. Right on.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like for the people who are reading this letter from Paul, all the things that we're talking about, apart from, language of neuroscience, all these things that we're talking about would have made, it would have made complete sense to them. This would have been their experience. Mm-hmm. But we have come, in the last 500 years, 2,000 years, we've come so far away, we're so far away from that embodied encounter with each other that it becomes, it's much more like, we read Romans 5, 1 through 5, and it's this kind of abstract set of posited, cognitive principles that we're somehow, I'm trying to shoehorn these into my life, and they're going to magically, like I'm going to be hopeful somehow because I've heard this, in a sermon. But if we're allowing ourselves, if we're allowing the text to do like what you're talking about, Pep, if you like the poetry. Oh. Yeah. So when people have listened to this podcast, if we're going to allow ourselves to commit these 5 verses to memory, and not just to memorize them, I just happen to memorize the poem, but I'm going to allow the poem, I'm going to listen to that bird chirping in Emily Dickinson's poem. I'm going to picture it. I'm going to picture the images that the poem conjures. It is a thing. It is a living, breathing thing. When we read these verses, they're intended to be living, breathing things, but that only come to us because of experiences that we've had with people who are sharing these kinds of things with us. Mm-hmm. Like what we do here.
Mm-hmm. Like what we do here.
Well, and I want to say about the ad nauseum, Pep, the woodrake who does not tax their lives with the forethought of grief.
My gosh.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know that if we didn't do this ad nauseum. If you didn't. So when you say it like that, it's it is a fabulous thing that we talk about it.
Yeah, I appreciated Curt correcting me there. I really did. Because I can, I can go there.
Because if we talk about it once or twice, it's gone. Yeah. The forethought of
well, I mean, I think because of in no small part also because of what it does for me when you seamlessly just bring it up again. It's kind of like saying, I don't mean to introduce this painting by Van Gogh yet one more time.
Yeah. Ugh, please.
I'm sorry to be burdening you with this part of his sorry to burden you with this sunset.
Yes.
You know what I mean, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, evil will want to get at us at every way it can. But I just want to say that anytime you name this, even the Emily's, this is like it's so good for my soul to hear that. So you become the gospel for me.
You become the gospel. I think that's a good place to wrap.
It is. It is. So I plan to do a little wobbling, because that is wobbling in itself is hope. Remember?
Yeah.
You said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The little kid. So
Yep.
it's
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Love you. All
Love
right.
you guys. All right.
Love you guys.
Yep.
Bye.